You know it's the offseason when Quentin Grimes simply tweets, sometimes you just gotta throw on some cowboy boots. And Sixer fans are in the comments thinking it's a cryptic message. Most likely this is probably him just, talking about him visiting his hometown because he grew up in Houston, Texas. It seems like there's no end in sight for this whole Quentin Grimes drama. Listen to this post. Quentin Grimes has a 76er, 21.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, 4.5 assists per game. Jalen Green, pretty much the same stats and a little worse, to be quite honest with you. And as the post stated, one of these guys is getting 33 plus mil a year and was the main piece in a Kevin Durant deal. The other guy doesn't have an active market. I think one of the issues for Grimes is he's very valuable for a contender, but the problem is they don't really have the money he wants, and most of them have already used all their cap space. But also, he's not really valuable for a Brooklyn Nets or Utah Jazz type of team. Like, what are they going to break the bank for Quentin Grimes? What's the upside of that? But Grimes is looking at that Jalen Green contract, and he's like, why not me? I think that's really cooking the Sixers in these negotiations. Quentin Grimes probably naming a bunch of bums on expensive contracts. He's like, if they're getting them, I should get them. Because not only do I play offense, but I play defense, but I can also step up into a role, but also play a role player role as well. And having that trade is honestly one of the most valuable trades in the NBA. I personally believe Quentin Grimes is going to be signed by the Sixers at some point. But I also believe signing him just ain't for him to play on the Sixers. There's a strong possibility next year doesn't go well, and the Sixers are on a fast track to rebuilding. If that's the case, I could really see a contender valuing Grimes a lot, and the Sixers moving on from him for a position of need. And this becomes even more likely if VJ Edgecombe has a strong rookie season because we know we have a surplus of guards. Basically, my point is I feel like we haven't had that valuable role player where you could say, oh yeah, he can be a key contributor on a winning team, our winning team, but at the same time, we could flip him at the deadline if everything goes wrong and actually get value in return. It feels like in the past 3 seasons, since Morey was not going to trade Maxey or anyone like that, not even Jared McCain, and rightfully so, it was like our guys that we want traded, they're not going to bring any value back. I wish we had this Grimes situation last offseason. It's all hypothetical because I doubt, we signed Paul George if that's the case. But I'm saying, I wish we had like a $20 million tradable contract so the Sixers could have been in the John Collins sweepstakes. But because our tradable contracts were Oubre, Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon, they couldn't even match to make the deal work. Along with that probably would not have been enough. They probably would have had to add some second-round picks, maybe even a first-round pick. As long as the Sixers stay under the aprons while re-signing Quentin Grimes, I really could care less what the price is because he's going to be tradable. And if it's higher than expected, that means you're going to be able to reach more valuable players in the next pay grade to trade for, if you do in fact want to trade him down the road, if that guard lineup does become a logjam. And of course, I've seen things on Reddit, such as a sign-and trade with the Houston Rockets for Tari Eason. Supposedly, the new CBA makes it very difficult to get sign-and trades done, so I don't think that's possible. Also, I saw a comment say that since Tari Eason's on his last year in his rookie deal, he can't be used in a sign-and trade. It's against the rules. But man, oh man, I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't interested in Tari Eason for Quentin Grimes. It makes sense for the Rockets as well because their point guard position, shooting guard position is basically Fred VanVleet and Reed Shepherd, and then they have so many 3s and 4s on the roster. It's kind of the opposite of the Sixers roster. But there definitely is a scenario where Tari Eason, if he gets injured because he's been super injury prone early in his NBA career, he can fall out of the rotation and all of a sudden he becomes expendable. And if Reed Shepherd's not living up to expectations, also I think they could just use another guard who can play next to Fred and Reed Shepherd because I don't think those two can play next to each other consistently or for long minutes. Quentin Grimes makes a lot of sense for that roster, but if you have an interest in Tari Eason, if you're the Sixers, you got to make sure that Quentin Grimes' contract is like $15 million because we see a negative effect if Quentin Grimes gets the money he wants with the Sixers. They're not going to be able to match for a guy at the trade deadline like Tari Eason. He's only making $5.6 million. They would have to include their untouchables, or I would assume untouchables, to get that deal done. I saw some people in the reply replies of that cryptic tweet saying, "Come to San Antonio." The problem with the sign-in trade or a future trade with them is the players that I think the Spurs would give up are not that interesting. Devin Vassell, he's 6'5", so it's kind of like a Quentin Grimes situation once again. Keldon Johnson is a 6'5" power forward, basically undersized for the way he plays, so you'd end up in the same situation if you just kept Grimes. Would definitely be interested in Jeremy Sohan. I think he'd fit well next to Maxey and McCain for sure, but I also believe Quentin Grimes is just a much better player at this point, but there definitely is long-term potential, so if the Sixers were rebuilding, then maybe Jeremy Sohan becomes more enticing. It seems like the new CBA really messed up the restricted free agency market. Jonathan Kuminga still unsigned. No one really knows what's going on with him. Josh Giddey with the Chicago Bulls. Cam Thomas as well. I personally wish there was a deadline for this type of thing, but I will say I think the Sixers deadline should be before training camp. It states online that October 1st is the first day of training camp, so I'm hoping all of this is put to bed before then. Let me know your thoughts below. When do you think this saga will come to an end? Be sure to leave a like. Have yourself a great day as well, and if you got time, check out my other videos. Peace.